rebuilding. A catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 130 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. What to do when you feel that you're not good enough. The other day I was on Facebook, where I'm always on, and I saw a friend, a Facebook friend. I don't know him personally, but I mean, we've been following each other for a while and stuff, and you know, into the training and stuff. And he had posted that he was thinking he should stop posting his lifting videos because he felt he just wasn't strong enough. And it kind of caught me a little bit. And, you know, he's not the strongest guy on the internet, and he's not the weakest guy on the internet. But it was more the message that I was sort of reading between the lines, sort of kind of feeling what he was feeling as he was writing that. And first thing I did is I messaged him, and I said, hey, listen, I saw your post, and I'll tell you right now, I said, I suggest you don't stop posting, because if you like doing it, then you should do it overall. And I gave him a little, comment on his section as well, too, to that post, saying something similarly to that overall. But the thing is, what I was telling him when I was messaging him is that I said, no matter who we are, so we're talking about strength and stuff. I'm working to break the 600-pound barrier. I am a pretty damn strong bencher. I'm not the strongest bencher, but if I break 600, I'm in a pretty elite class overall. But there's days where even I wonder, should I be posting these videos? Am I strong enough? Who am I to be putting my videos up there? And that's what struck me, is that no matter who we are, no matter where we are, in the bench press, in life, in our careers, in our businesses, no matter how good we're doing, we're going to have days where we feel that we're just not good enough, no matter how far we've come. And that, to me, is interesting. To me, that's interesting how that is a common feeling that we're all going to run into. Now, if you talk to people that are uber successful, they'll tell you they feel actually more often than most people realize, because they're always in an uncharted territory. And as you move further up, the pressures increase. The demands on you increase. So you never get that feeling of finished or accomplished, because you've got the other thing going, or it's growing to the next level. And that can be stressful. It can be tough. And we have to learn to deal with it. But we need to learn to deal with it no matter what level we're at, because we're going to run into those thoughts. The whole thing comes down to, we talked about in a few episodes ago. I always say a few episodes ago. It could be 50 episodes ago. The imposter syndrome. We often will catch ourselves wondering who the fuck we think we are to be doing what we're doing. Because we're hard on ourselves. We're hard on ourselves when we're not accomplishing things. We're hard on ourselves when we are accomplishing things, wondering why we can't be accomplishing it better. We can never accomplish it fast enough. The bills keep coming in, right? The projects keep coming due. Time keeps running out. And when we're in the flow and we're feeling really good and our energy is good and our state of mind is positive and we feel good physically and mentally, we handle it really, really well. In fact, once we get used to a certain pace of things, going down to a slower pace really feels weird. Sometimes even annoying. It's too slow. I'm bored. I know I've run into that quite often. But there's times where we also get to the point where we sit there and go, it's too much right now. I don't know if I can handle it. Why won't these people just leave me alone? But we have to remember, we put ourselves there. But as we strive for something, as something means something to us, it also becomes more fragile and more vulnerable, I think. Because it means something. When you don't give a shit, it doesn't matter. When you truly don't give a shit. If you're driving down traffic and some guy honks a horn at you and stuff and you really don't give a fuck, you don't give a fuck. But if you're in a position where you're feeling weaker, you're feeling less than, and that happens, when we feel we're not good enough, that horn honk is going to have a different feeling to us. It's going to have a different meaning to us. We're going to get angry. We're going to sit there and wondering, who the fuck does this person think he is? That kind of stuff. Doesn't he know who I am? How dare he? That kind of stuff. For the same horn honk. It's about our state of mind and where we're sitting there that day, where we're coming from, what position we're coming from. So really, it really comes down to understanding that when something's important to us, there's going to be times where we're going to feel we're vulnerable. When something's important to us, there's times where we're going to feel we're not good enough. And I think that's part of the process that pushes us to want to keep getting better. So I think that's a good part to it. But what do we do when we're in that state where we truly just feel we're not good enough? We don't deserve to be successful. When people first come into the gym and stuff, I see that a lot, the self-esteem issue, the confidence, male and female. You can see it in their eyes. You can see how they walk, how they hold themselves, how they, are they proud through their shoulders when they walk in, or are they slightly slumped forward? Do they have trouble, establishing eye contact? All those things, those are tells. Those are big tells. But then along the way, as they get healthier and fitter and stronger, and the self-esteem improves and the confidence improves, those things change. And we start feeling better about ourselves. More confident, sexier. I know Luke likes to feel sexy. But the thing to remember, at first, it's very, very fragile. At first, when you feel the world's against you, the smallest slip up on your part, you'll go back to thinking that way. What I'm trying to do personally, when I start to feel that way, is understand what's going on. Why am I feeling that way? Am I truly upset about the situation at hand that I'm reacting to currently? Or is it because I've got a cloud over my head right now? Is it because I'm physically tired? Is it because I'm mentally tired? Is it because the pressure of the business is on me? We need to evaluate. We need to figure out, why am I feeling this? And it's okay if you're upset, just because you're upset. But let's figure out what it is so we can try to work on it. We can't always resolve it right away, but if we can recognize it, then we can take a little bit of a step back. We can say, hey, listen, you know what? Let's stop this here today because I'm just not feeling it. I find myself doing that a little bit more. Hey, listen, I want to stop here because I find myself, I'm getting angry, and I don't believe I'm angry at you or the situation. I just feel that I'm getting angry, and I don't think we should need to keep going. You want to talk about, stopping somebody cold. You make that comment to them, they'll be like, holy shit, what's going on? And then you get a little bit of an idea how they're adjusted with themselves, because if they're cool with themselves, they'll be like, hey, I think that's a good idea. But if they're not, they'll actually wonder, are you upset with me? What's going on? All of a sudden, their triggers will come out if they're not in a 100% place as well. So very interesting to see what happens when you do that. But the thing is to understand that we're always going to come back to that point at certain times where we feel like we're just not good enough. I made a post about that on Facebook the other day, just talking about how excited I am about our bench meet coming up in August, or when you hear this, that came and went in August. But for me, the story of the bench press has really helped shape my life, from very much who I am personally, who I am physically, my business, my brand has all been adjusted by that, has been affected by that. The bench press, which was at one point my worst lift when I started lifting. I knew nothing about why it was. I just knew I was a big kid and I could squat and deadlift 300 pounds, but I couldn't bench 75 pounds. Now, along the way, I figured a lot of shit out, and I took my worst lift and made it my best lift. And it became part of my identity, who I am, what's important to me, how I think, how I build my business, how people know me. But there's days, can you imagine that, right? All that stuff off the fucking bench press. So what do you think happens to me when I have a bad bench workout? It's the fucking linchpin. I'm like, holy shit, it's all coming down, the house of cards. That's why I compete, and that's why I keep pushing myself, because it empowers me on so many levels. So my goal is to keep getting stronger in my 50s. Is there going to be a point where I'm not going to be able to get stronger because I am getting older? Yes. Don't like to think about that, but yes. But when I'm 62, if I can't bench as much as I do at 52, that's okay. but I'm sure as fuck going to be one of the strongest 62-year-olds I can be, because it matters that much to me. A great workout, a great bench session with a bunch of the guys working hard. When I walk out of that gym mangled physically, but mentally, I'm on fire. Because I just spent an hour or an hour and a half doing something I love to do in an environment I love to be in with a whole bunch of other people sharing the same thing. And to me, that's pretty special. But at the same time, I want to protect that. So what happens? I eat better. I try to sleep better. One of the benefits of not drinking anymore and being sober is that I lift better. So I'm doing a lot of other things to protect this. And that's the thing that's important, guys. When we find something, a couple things that are truly important to us and truly define who we are and part of our character and part of our makeup, we need to protect that. We need to do what we can to make that the best possible scenario for us and make it last as long as we can, because it's important to us. So then when we start to look at it that way, we see how important those things are. Other things that are very unimportant, I was about to really ruin the English language there. Things that are far less important to us will fall by the wayside. So you know what? I don't need to watch 7 episodes of Netflix. Why? Because I'm benching tomorrow. I'll watch 1. Because benching is really important to me. If it's running, if it's Spartan, if it's bodybuilding, if it's losing weight, whatever. If you want to be able to go to your cottage and fucking build an extension on your cottage, well, then you're going to make sure you have the lumber and you have the tools and you have the energy and the food and the time to do it, right? Because it's important to you. And if you get there and you work on it and you forget something, you know what? You're going to be pissed at yourself. And you'll have those negative thoughts. You'll have what the hell is my problem? This was so important to me and I fucked up. So those are going to happen. Those negative thoughts are going to happen. We need to catch them. We need to recognize them, and we need to flip them as soon as we can. But recognize them and try to understand why they're there. If you get to the cottage and you realize you forgot half your fucking tools because you stayed up late for 3 nights before fucking around, well, that's why. And suddenly, staying up a little bit later to watch some stupid show becomes so much less important because it had a bigger effect on what's really important for you down the line. So that to me is another way that we can turn around and limit the amount of times that we're going to have these situations where we feel we're not good enough, is by taking steps to eliminate that scenario from happening as much as possible. But it's still going to happen. But if we can get better at protecting it, if we can get better at structuring our lives so that we run into that less often, we're going to run at a better level, a lot easier than we need to. So I hope my friend on Facebook got the message. I hope he keeps posting his videos, because he doesn't know, you never know who you're inspiring. You're always going to be stronger than somebody else. And somebody else is always going to look up to you and go, I can't wait to get to that level. I told him, for me, one of the reasons why I also post those things on Facebook for me is because it's accountability, right? I like being able to turn around and say, hey, look at here's my last workout. Of course, I love when I'm able to lift more or do more and stuff like that. Absolutely. But it's part of the accountability for me to make sure that when I bench heavy on Tuesdays, which it happens to be Tuesday tonight, I had a big breakfast. I'm going to take a little nap this afternoon, right? So that when I go into the gym tonight, I teach a class at 7, and then at 8 o'clock, I step into the gym side, and I'm ready to go. Mentally, physically, emotionally, excited, motivated. To me, that's super important overall. And that's the image I like to see about myself. That's what I want to put forth to the world, because that matters to me. And I know that inspires others and motivates others. And that's part of my mission, just like this podcast, is to help inspire and motivate other men to rebuild their lives, no matter where they're at. Because I see how powerful it is. If I was 20 years old, I wouldn't have the same type of context for you guys. But at 50, turning 51, in 6 months, 8 months, I don't know what the hell's going on, March, 3, 6, 7 months, I don't know. It matters. It matters. And it matters for what I did in 40. And it matters what it's going to do when I'm 50, 55, and 60. And it matters to those around me around that age. Right? I want to be proud of myself. And I want people to be proud of themselves. And at the end of the day, right, if we work that way and we understand that people are watching us doing what we do, so we have a responsibility for those looking out to us for motivation. And I always tell people, the moment you start achieving something, no matter how small, you start to become an inspiration for somebody. And a lot of times, sometimes we think better that way, doing more for others than we will for ourselves. And then we'll recognize in them when they're having a day where they don't feel that they're good enough. And we'll be able to sit there and have a conversation and we'll be able to empathize with them. Because we've been there, we've dealt with it, we deal with it on an ongoing basis, and we're going to help them because we can relate. So we're going to have days where we don't feel like we're superhuman. That's okay. Recognize it, adjust it, and do something to make yourself feel superhuman again. Guys, that's all I have to say about that. Head on over to iTunes, leave us a positive review, 5-star rating. Head on over to hostelegear.com, use the code word Silverback to save 20% off. You know what's selling a lot right now, Luke? Ask me.
What's selling a lot right now?
You know what's selling a lot right now is the Work Hard Motherfucker t-shirts. We're actually going through a whole bunch of them, which is really cool, really excited. Just sold a whole bunch to a bunch of people in the States. So America has got the word motherfucker on their chest. I love it. Love the support, guys. Thank you very much. And as always, work hard, motherfuckers. And I'll talk to you guys later.